And welcome to another episode of Mothman Podcast. Tonight we're at a residence near Winston-Salem, in between Winston-Salem and Kernersville. And we're in the residence of Miss Susie Martin. And Miss Martin has been having some issues with the paranormal for the last 30 years. And we're going to discuss those tonight and maybe come back at a later date and do a video investigation, which you'll be able to see on YouTube. But I have here with me is Bruce and Amanda.
How you doing, guys?
So we're going to get started by just asking Susan, if she could just tell us a little bit about when did this start? What part of your life did this start in?
When I was about 19 years old, I lived in Tobaccoville, and that was the first time I realized something was going on when I heard my name being whispered in my house. And I had put my daughter down to sleep in my bed, and then I heard pitter-patter little feet. I run through the house to catch her in her bedroom. She wasn't there. I go through the bathroom because it adjoined to two rooms. And she was still laying there asleep, and I just couldn't figure it out. I brushed it off, and thought, well, my imagination, and didn't think nothing of it. And didn't have any type of activity for a very long time.
And so you moved from that location, right?
Yes, I did.
So when you moved to the new location, what happened then?
It was an apartment in Old Town, and I was busy working and living my young teenage life,
Yeah.
Going out to clubs, meeting people, having fun, and
Right.
Nothing happened there.
Hmm.
And my next location was behind it, and nothing happened there.
Mm-hmm.
Then I met my current husband, Anthony, and we bought a trailer and put it in Yadkin County.
Yeah.
And we lived there for about 8 years, and then stuff started happening.
After 8 years.
After about 8 years, yeah.
What kind of stuff were you seeing?
I wasn't seeing anything. Like, me and him would be in bed asleep, and we'd hear a loud bang, like a great big thick phone books hitting the floor, and we both sit up in bed.
Yeah.
We both heard that, and couldn't figure it out. And it was my brother's fiance died, and she was pregnant, and they buried the baby with her. And that's when my brother Jerry come out to stay after her funeral, and he woke me up that night, said my reclining chair was rocking.
Oh, wow.
And it wouldn't quit, and he heard some breathing, and he won't come back in my house. He won't come nowhere near it.
Yeah.
And
does he think it's something attached to you, or does he think just the paranormal follows?
He thought that was her.
Oh, okay. Wow.
And then my sister's husband died.
Uh-huh.
And her daughter Leah my house was the last location she was at before he died that he knew where she was.
Right.
And about 2 weeks after he died, I had a little poodle, and he slept in my arm every night, and we went to bed, and I heard 3 knocks on the door about 3 o'clock in the morning. It went,
wow,
rap, rap, rap. My little poodle went, whoop. He was scared.
Yeah.
I was scared.
Uh-huh.
I didn't get up and answer the door.
I wouldn't either.
Because that kind of freaked me out.
Yeah.
And I have oil lamps.
Uh-huh.
As you see behind you, I had 4. Now I've got 2. And one of them would shake. Out of all 4,
oh, wow,
one of them would shake to where I could sit here and watch the globe jiggle back and forth.
Oh, you're kidding.
And my oldest daughter was at home.
And
at
those
the time.
globes, you push them in.
Yeah.
They have to be, they're fitted in there.
It was rattling, just one.
Yeah.
And
wow,
she could hear it, but every time she turned her head to look at it, it would stop.
Wow.
Then she turned her head back, I'd watch it
would
rattle.
Start.
It was very strange. She was freaked out because the water would come on in the bathroom.
Yeah.
When she was in there in the sink, and she'd get out of the shower, open up the curtain, and she was screaming because the water was on.
Yeah.
She wasn't nowhere near it.
Right.
So I got to thinking, well, something's going on here. Something's going on. And then one day I had my big dog outside, and it's the strangest thing. I've never seen nothing like it. I've tried to figure out what it was. But I was hearing the leaves ruffle in the side yard under my bedroom window. And I looked, and my dog was over here. This is to my right. And the leaves pushed back, and it looked like, the best I can describe it was a big black horse's eye. shaped like a horse's eye. And it was laying in the ground, and it was looking at me.
Wow.
And then it blinked, and it blinked again, it closed. And it just looked like leaves on top of it. And I thought, something strange. I asked people about it, and the only person that said anything to me was my brother, and he said that sounded like it was a demon looking at you. But like I said, I tried to find stuff about it online. I just couldn't find nothing about it.
Yeah.
Now, how often have you actually seen something?
Well, a couple years ago, it laid in bed with me. And I thought it was my husband, because we were working at the same restaurant. And I told him that night, I said, you know, come to bed sometime and get some sleep. We got a double shift tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I went on to bed, and I woke up, and I looked over as I sleep at the foot because it's more up.
I know what you mean, yeah.
And I saw sock feet. Then I looked up the body, and it was wearing camo pants, and it looked solid. It didn't look shimmery or see-through. And then I looked on up, and he was wearing a white tank top, and his hands was folded across his chest. And I thought, well, he come to bed and got some sleep. So I got me a drink of water by the water bottle by the bed, and I laid back down. The next day at work, I looked at him. We were in the back doing the dishes, and I said, well, honey, I'm glad you come and got some sleep last night. And he said, I never came to bed. And I said, well, who the hell was laying down with me?
Yeah.
And it wasn't even he wasn't even wearing camouflage clothes.
Yeah.
He was still wearing the same clothes he wore the day before, which was a black T-shirt and jeans. But it was dressed like him when he's on his downtime. I didn't see a face because I didn't look up past the hands. I was laid back down and went to sleep. And my little dog in that same bedroom, she would stare at the corner and bark at it, and then she would hunker down and whimper. But I couldn't see nothing, whatever she could see. I couldn't see it. But I seen it manifest itself in that way.
Yeah.
And it just laid there. It didn't move, and it looked solid. I was like, wow, this is really weird.
Right, yeah.
Usually they show them as shimmery, floaty objects. This one was laying there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like a dead man, I guess. Really freaked me out. And I stayed at my niece's Heather's for a couple months one time, and she got a new bed. And she wasn't going to sleep in it that night, so I said, can I sleep in it? And I remember getting on her bed, and I was bouncing around, and I told her, I said, your bed don't have a lot of bounce to it. Well, that night I was woke up by something picked the bed up, and it slammed it back down on the floor.
Oh, my God.
And then I heard real heavy, like a angry breathing. Like kind of like a growl inside the breathing. And I was petrified to move. It was behind me. I was laying in bed on my side, and I was just petrified to move. That kind of scared me, so I never slept in Heather's room again.
Yeah, that definitely sounds like demonic. I mean, it's definitely sounds malicious, if nothing else. And
I have cover back to the trailer. I've had my covers pulled off my feet in a flash. I've had one night I broke this wrist, and I let it heal on its own because I couldn't afford to see the doctor for it. And I was spooning my husband. You know, you sleep up against his back. Yeah. And the bed was up against the wall, and my arm was up against the wall. Well, I felt fingers close in on my arm, and when that one at a time, and then when that thumb closed, I jerked back. Yeah. Because it woke me up, but I didn't feel anything, like no resistance, like it was just in air. Yeah, yeah. And I was yelling at my husband. I said, don't grab my sore arm when I'm asleep. But there's no way he could have done it.
Yeah. He wasn't even turned in a way that he could have.
Right. His back was to me, and I was just really freaked out from being touched by it. That was the first time it's ever touched me. Yeah. And I don't like that. I don't like being touched by something. I'm afraid to sleep with my arm over the bed. My bed's on the floor. There's no space underneath it, nothing like that, because I don't want to be touched. And now when I'm here, I sit here in this spot every day with my computer. And I usually keep my bedroom door shut because if I don't, if I'm not exactly looking in there, I can see what looks like people or a shadow move across the hallway. And I'll look up, and won't see nothing. But I can make out like a white clothing, like a white dress. But I can't really see the face or if it's a man or a woman. I see the movement.
Yeah. Wow, that's interesting.
And it's just really strange. And now I sleep with when I go to bed at night, I have to tuck all my covers in from my feet to my shoulders.
Right.
Because since I've been in this house, I have felt my covers being pulled down. One night it pulled them all the way down to my feet. Then it pulled it back up around my neck, and it started tucking it in, just bunching it around my neck. I didn't like that. And I felt them being pulled sideways to where it pulls my pants, and that wakes me up. So I'm a very light sleeper.
Yeah.
So if my sister's not here, I sleep on the couch.
Yeah.
Which it tends not to bother me in here. But we've had things thrown around here. After Halloween last year, me and my sister was sitting here. The rest of our candy in the bowl was in the kitchen on the hope chest. It just come flying and hit the floor.
Wow.
She was here when that happened. And I said, "You see that, Jackie? Nobody's in there." And I heard glass breaking a couple of months ago. I was in bed early in the morning, and I hollered at my daughter, and I said, "Did you break a glass?" She said, "No." Well, a couple of weeks later, I come in here, and I'm fooling around over there at my corner shelf, and I see one of my champagne flues is broken. And
wow.
On the bottom shelf, all my little vases are knocked over, and nothing gets over there. As you can see, I keep pillows over there.
Right.
Because I can't keep them on the couch because of my dog. So it's always blocked, but I don't know what did it.
Yeah.
But something
How
did
it
it.
happened. Yeah.
Nothing else has fallen over there.
Right.
Now, you said that it actually touched you. Have you
Yes.
ever woken up, or is that the only time it touched you? Have you ever woken up with, scratches, bruises, handprints?
I've woke up with scratches and bruises, but I didn't seem to feel it when it happened. I just wake up and be like, "There's a weird bruise there. How'd I get that?" You know?
Yeah.
I just don't know.
Yeah.
It definitely sounds like something negative is attached to you or attacking you. I mean, for it to follow you across multiple residences, there's definitely some type of strong attachment for that to happen. Because usually, for a spirit to travel between different residences, it's usually attached to an object. There are definitely a lot of cases where they're attached to people themselves, but even so, it's usually something a little more.
Right.
Inanimate, in physical, something that actually, had some type of importance to them when they were alive.
Yeah. Now, I have a question about where you lived in, you said Yadkin County? And you lived in a mobile home, right? Do you know anything about the land that it was on?
It was owned by Clyde Dinkins. But as far as, I didn't know nothing about it.
You don't know any
land.
history
That's
of
what
it.
I thought. I thought the trailer was brand new. Nobody's never lived in it before.
Right.
So it had to be
I just know that there were a lot of Native Americans out in Yadkin County until pretty recent in history. And I don't know, it just crossed my mind that possibly it could have been the land that something got attached to you there, because I kind of feel like it's two separate incidents, earlier in your life. This is just what I kind of get the impression, what I kind of feel. Earlier in life was one thing, was kind of because you're sensitive to the paranormal, period. You just are. And then the second, however, it seems like something attached itself.
Now, I grew up in West Virginia, and from what I understand, the land my dad built his house on used to be, I believe it was a old graveyard for colored people.
Oh, wow.
But I don't know if they moved it or what, because it was 75 when we moved up there.
Yeah,
And stuff happened up there. My mom was always talking about things happening that I didn't ever experience.
Yeah.
But she was.
Well, I think the sensitivity runs through the family pretty strongly.
Yeah, and if something racially charged like that, I actually know somebody who they bought a house. It was like an old farmhouse, and there was a big, like, giant oak tree, like a couple hundred years old, like humongous, and it took up like a corner of the property. And apparently that used to be like a lynching tree.
Oh my God.
And so there was like a ton of activity in this house.
Yeah.
Like, they were always seeing shadow figures. People,
no doubt.
They were constantly getting attacked.
That's like one of the most traumatic ways to go.
Oh yeah.
Now, as a child in the house, I did hear, trying to sleep at night, sound like people talking. A bunch at one time.
Yeah.
And sometimes I couldn't sleep, but I never thought nothing about it. I just thought, oh,
this is what happens
in my ears.
Yeah.
It's too quiet, and it's my mind.
Yeah.
But I could never make out what they were saying, but they were just chitter-chattering with each other all night long.
Yeah.
And now I'm older now, I've been told that could be souls.
Definitely.
Talking to each other.
Yeah. That you're tapped into the paranormal, and it's not even that those voices were trying to get your attention. They were talking, and you just happen to be able to hear.
Yeah.
It's like you have the right radio reception going on.
Yeah, apparently.
Well, you've been immersed in it so long, and, to the point where, like, it's almost second nature for you to hear it, like, naturally.
Yeah. And to expect it to, like, you kind of know what's going to happen because you've experienced it so many times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it likes to tap on my bedroom walls sometimes. It'll go through my walls, tapping at me, trying to communicate. Sounds like it moves stuff around in there.
Yeah.
My sister's got a lot of perfume bottles. I'll hear them being set back down
Yeah.
when I'm laying in the bed, and I'm like, okay, it's doing its thing again.
Right.
Has it done any, like, the sleep paralysis kind of deal where you wake up in the middle of the night and you're being held down and you can't move?
No, I've never experienced that. Don't want to.
Right. No, I haven't. It's horrible.
Yeah, I have too. And it's not fun at all. But
now, you said before that you've had other people witness this, your sister, and I believe you said your brother.
My brother.
Tell me a little bit about what your brother had seen in here.
The rocking chair wouldn't quit rocking, and it squeaked when it rocked, and that's the only thing he ever told me. And after that, he would not come back into my trailer. He would stand up in the driveway. He'd be all fidgety and nervous.
Do you have a rocking chair in the house now?
No.
Okay.
now, was that the only thing he's ever seen? He hasn't actually seen any shadow figures or anything, has he?
Not that he told me, no. He couldn't see nothing sitting in the chair. It was just rocking on its own.
Has anybody else other than you actually seen, like, the physical manifestation of anything?
My daughter Kelly.
Okay.
But she don't want to talk about it. She don't want to be interviewed.
Right.
She told me it was really tall. It was so tall that it had to hunch over from the ceiling.
Oh, wow.
It was wearing
Did
a long robe, a ragged robe, and it had long hair that hung over its face. That's what she told me. That she has seen.
Now, how long ago is this?
This was in an apartment I lived in Winston about 4 or 5 years ago.
Okay, we got a dog kind of whining in the background.
He sounds pitiful. He just wants to be with his mommy.
So, now, you also told that some of your family has had paranormal experiences also. Is that correct?
Correct.
Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, my sister there, she has witnessed the rocking chair rocking on its own. And she has witnessed the things here in this house being flung around with nobody around. And my brother Jerry, my 2 daughters both have, with the water coming on. And Kelly, my youngest daughter, would bring me her dolls. She didn't want to have any dolls in the house. And I told her, I said, why? And she said, because in the middle of the night, they get up and they walk toward her bed saying her name.
Oh, my God.
And it scared her. And she was like
No doubt.
6 years old. So we got a fire barrel, and we was burning some trash, and she brought me some dolls, and I put them in there, and she had this one that was like an angel, and you put its little hands together, it prayed.
Yeah.
When I put that one in the fire, that one screamed. It screamed like a child. I told my husband, Anthony, I said, you hearing that doll screaming?
Wow.
That didn't sound... I know it's got a voice box in it, but she won't have no kind of dolls like that ever since.
Yeah.
And she also said that in her closet in the trailer, there was a little girl that would peep out, open the door at night, and peep out at her. And I kind of shrugged that off, and I said, I'll tell you what we'll do. I'll take his handful of crayons, and I'll line them up in the closet, and we'll see what happens. Mm-hmm. And the next day, we went to check it because she made me tie the door shut. And we looked in there, and the crayons were all arrayed on the floor, and there was drawings on the wall. Like a little kid was drawing with them.
Yeah.
And Kelly wouldn't even go in that closet. She hated that closet. Didn't even want the door open. So
Wow.
I know it wasn't her.
Yeah.
Because I asked her, I said, you sure you didn't come here and do this?
Yeah.
And she was like, no, Mommy, no, I ain't going in that closet. She don't,
I
wouldn't
would have been scared
I
of
wouldn't
it
put her
too.
clothes in the closet. She didn't even like her clothes being in there.
Yeah.
But something drew on the wall, drew little stick people, drew hearts, circles, just like random drawings. I'll never forget that.
Wow.
But
So paranormal's been around you most of your life then?
apparently so. I just thought it was something normal and never really thought much about it until it started taking my covers off of me
Yeah.
and touching me.
Have you ever attempted any type of like communication, or even in the opposite direction, have you ever tried any type of cleansing, like burning sage, any of that? Like,
No.
you haven't seen, like, gone to see any mediums or psychics or anything?
No. I've never done nothing like that. Never played with the Ouija board. Never
Yeah.
done anything like that. Because my mother always told me, Ouija boards were evil, and she wouldn't allow them in her house, and we never, played
That
with
was
them like that.
that was actually the last podcast we did. Was on
It was
the
about Ouija boards.
Yeah.
We all
always-
said we wouldn't have one.
I've always been scared of them, so there's no way
Yeah.
I would ever. Now, I have, when it gets on my nerves, aggravating me for several days in a row, I'll ask it, like I'll hear something in the kitchen rattling, it shouldn't be, and I'll say, okay, I know you're here, who are you?
Yeah.
That's about the most communication I try to attempt with it,
Right.
and I don't get nothing. So
Yeah.
I figure I ain't going to talk to it.
Now, have you ever, like especially like the old school cameras, like the disposable, have you ever taken any pictures and like noticed anything weird in the pictures, like orbs, like, maybe a blurry shadow or something behind you, or any type of like actual physical evidence that could have been something?
I've never really thought to look for it during those times.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm going to have to go through my photo albums and take a look sometime and look and see if I can see anything.
Yeah, because the old school cameras, like the disposable ones and the Polaroids,
Yeah.
like when it comes to actually like picking up spirits, like those
They're pretty good.
always get the best shots. Like when it comes to like orbs, sometimes you'll even see a face.
Yeah.
Like it seems like as far as like spirit photography goes, the old school cameras is the way to go.
Definitely.
Well, I'm definitely going to have to go through my pictures because back in the 80s, I took a lot of pictures with the flash 110 camera.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. I love photography, but the one thing I want is a manual, old school film camera, so that you can take pictures and you get, what an orb looks like.
Yeah.
It's like the little white circle
Little
kind of thing.
balls floating around.
Yeah, yeah. Definitely let us know if you find any in your old photos.
I will. I'm going to have to start going through them then.
Yeah. And even before we come out for the actual paranormal part of the investigation, if you think the entity or whatever is over in the corner, just take a picture. You never know what's going to show up. So just take some pictures between now and then and see what we see.
It likes the kitchen. It likes my bedroom.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure it likes my closet in there. And I kind of, I keep it blocked with something because several times I've gotten up in the morning and that door will be open when I know it was closed.
Yeah.
And I don't, whoa.
Yep.
And you said, your animals, your dog has reacted to the presence of whatever it is. Like, how often would you think, like on average, just say during a week, how often do you think you notice your animal, reacting to something that you can't see?
Say in a week. The only time she really reacts now is at night when I go to bed because she don't want to come in there.
Mm.
Oh.
She'll stay in here or she'll go in Kelly's room.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of isolated activity in your bedroom then, if she doesn't want to go in there.
It took her form one night.
Oh wow.
I was in bed, and I felt the covers being slidden down my body again, from my shoulders, and all of a sudden, I thought it was Charlotte, my dog, but I didn't feel her under I didn't feel the covers move with anything, and it ran out the covers, looked just like her, and it hit the floor. Now, my bedroom floor doesn't have a rug in it; it's hardwood. So whenever she jumps off my bed, I hear the claws.
You hear the little tick. Yeah.
I know, it woke me up that the covers, and then that thing just shot out, and it was so fast it looked like her fur. And I didn't hear her hit the floor.
Yeah.
And I thought that was odd. And then my daughter Kelly told me the next day, she said that Charlotte, she thought was Charlotte, was sitting in the hallway looking at her in her room because her door was open.
Oh, wow.
But she didn't come in there. And I said, well, I thought Charlotte, had run out from under my covers, but I couldn't feel nothing other than the covers sliding back. If she's in my bed with me under the covers, when she comes out, the covers come up.
Right. Yeah, I know what you mean.
These went back.
Yeah.
And it just shot out like a shot.
Huh.
So this thing really likes to mess with you, like when you're trying to sleep.
Yeah.
It seems like
It don't want me to rest.
Yeah. And that is actually one of the problems with it, like a negative paranormal haunting, is that it seems to deprive people of their energy by keeping them from resting, keeping them from eating properly, that sort of thing.
It's even come to work with me.
Oh, wow.
I worked in 2 different restaurants in Winston. And the first one, they didn't open till 4, so I was the prep person.
Right.
And sometimes I worked shifts there also. And I was there one day with another guy, and we were cleaning the fryers.
Yeah.
And behind them and the wall, chicken wing joint. And all of a sudden, this big rack of heavy beer mugs, the kind with the handles on them, came flying off the shelf and busted all over the floor. Nobody was around it. Me and him were both behind the fryers, and this was across the kitchen.
Yeah.
Me and him looked at each other, and I said, "You saw that, right?" Because we had to clean the mess up. Then another restaurant I worked at, I was putting stock up, and I had to climb the shelf, stand on the bottom shelf to reach to put the stock up.
Yeah.
And I turned around, and directly behind me in the dry stock area was our cooler. And our cooler has a pneumatic door, so anytime somebody opens it, you just let it go, and it'll slowly close on its own.
Right.
I turned around, the door was wide open,
Oh, wow.
and it wasn't closing.
Yeah.
And the only person there was me and the waitress. It was after the rush, and everybody was on their breaks. And so I went out there to her, and I asked her, I said, did you open up the cooler door? Because anytime I've had to use the cooler door to have it open, I've had to put something in front of it to hold it open. It was just wide open on its own.
Yeah.
And she said, no, she hadn't even been back there.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, that's strange. Why would that door just be standing there wide open?
Yeah.
And, and I'm thinking I told her, I said, well, my ghost must have come to work with me today.
Should have grounded him.
Wish I could get rid of it.
We will. We will.
We're going to work towards that.
But
That's right.
It's so
That's our
normal now.
ultimate goal.
I ain't going to know how to live without it.
Yeah, you might it actually might be a shock to get a full night's sleep,
Yeah.
undisturbed for a change, right?
Right.
Yep.
But
I've always had the feeling something's watched me. Even from a child, I've always felt like I'm being watched. Couldn't see nothing, but I've just always had that feeling something's watching me.
Right.
So maybe it's been with me since I was a kid.
Maybe.
I just didn't pick up on it.
How's
Didn't
your,
understand it.
do you have significant anxiety, medium anxiety, low anxiety?
Pretty low anxiety.
Okay. That's not too bad.
No, I don't take no medications for nothing like that. I don't feel any stress hardly, other than when it's messing with me and aggravating me.
Right, right. And if you had to say, like, I'm just trying to understand how bad it's affecting you, because we want it to not do that eventually.
I'm used to it.
I know. But if you had to say, like, when it's bothering you, what's your anxiety on a scale of like 1 to 10?
When it's really getting to me doing stuff, I feel really afraid.
Okay.
I'm afraid to move, actually.
Okay.
To even get up out of my bed.
Yeah, just
That's
pat
good to know.
aside.
I just lay real still and let it, pull my covers back and tug a war with it a little bit maybe.
Yeah.
It'll pull them down. I'll pull them up and I'll ignore it. Act like I
Right.
don't feel anything and it's not there. And I'm thinking maybe it'll just go away and leave me alone for the rest of the night.
Right. Right. Yeah.
But it makes me feel really afraid when it does. I get a sense of fear just runs through my body.
Mm-hmm.
Now, are you like a religious person? Do you go to church often, or
No.
No.
I am a religious person, but I don't attend church on the regular
Yeah.
or anything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see you're religious. I can see some of the items that you have around your house.
Call it a belief. I believe,
Yeah.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
The reason why I was asking is because like when something's like attached to a person, it almost requires. It's not a full exorcism per se, but it's like an exorcism of the bond of whatever's tying the spirit to the person,
Yeah.
and that would be something that would require like a priest or some type of pastor or reverend,
Yeah.
whatever. And even so, I mean, it may take more than one time of doing it to really break that bond, especially since this thing's been lingering around you for 30 years. I mean, it's definitely established.
It's unusual.
It's established a strong connection to you. So,
Is there anything that you have, excuse me, Bruce, is there anything in this house that you have had since childhood that you carry with you everywhere you go?
I'm trying to think. I don't think so.
A book, a piece
I
of
have-
clothing?
I do have clothing from my teenage years, like 14 years old. I do have all my mother's old photographs of us when we were little kids that we've had since I was little. I've got all pictures
Yeah.
that she had before she passed away.
Mm-hmm.
As far as dolls or anything like that, no.
When you were younger and this stuff was happening, did your parents actually pick up on it as well? Did they detect it? Feel anything or hear anything?
My mom did.
She did.
My dad didn't. He was always working in the coal mines, and he worked what he called the hoot owl shift all the time, night shift.
Mm-hmm.
He would sleep all day.
Right.
That's a dangerous job right there too, working in a coal mine.
Yep.
But my mom, I grew up, the house we lived in, all we heard about was demons. Demons this, demons that. And she got visited by Satan and demons this. And so it kind of,
Now,
Yeah.
your mom said that?
Yeah.
She got visited by Satan?
yeah, she said he visited her and he had long dark hair and he sat on the couch and talked to her for hours.
Oh, wow.
When was this? That's a significant piece of information.
This was back in the 70s.
Wow.
And she always scared us little kids. We were little talking like that because we didn't understand, I didn't at least, what she was talking about.
Yeah.
Did it affect your brothers or sisters or anyone?
My brother, CW, always claimed that up there in the house we grew up in when we were kids, his bed would shake at night, just violently shake. I have felt that here with my bed.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't believe him. I thought, he's crazy. Your bed just don't shake.
Right.
'Cause
Yeah.
I was a kid,
Yeah.
Now, did your mom ever say what her and Satan actually talked about? Like,
I don't remember. That's what she said. It just freaked me out.
Yeah.
Sometimes I wondered if she didn't say stuff like that. She had 5 kids to keep us in control, make us behave ourselves in the
Yeah.
house. And she had us scared to death of that house.
Yeah.
We were so scared. We were afraid to get up in the middle of the night and turn the bathroom light on
Yeah.
to go to the bathroom.
Well, that could be, or it could be something else, and you just never know.
Jackie would make me get up and turn the light on for her.
Jackie's her sister, who's also in the room with us
Yeah.
today.
Yep.
And I was scared to death.
Yeah.
yeah, man, whew. I wouldn't know what to think about, having a conversation with Satan for hours on
I know,
end.
I know it sounds crazy. I thought she was crazy at the time. I thought,
Yeah.
man, them mom's awful rocker.
Yeah.
But she had a lot of problems, and I'm thinking it's probably why she did the things she did when we were growing up. She was a very suicidal person.
Ooh, so she was battling her own demons.
Yeah.
Like literally.
Literally and metaphorically,
Yeah,
yeah.
and I'm
Yeah.
not talking one time. I'm talking multiple times as a
Right.
child. She done everything from slit her wrists past her elbows to taking pills, swallowing super glue. She done a lot of stuff, and I'm wondering, looking back now, if she wasn't experiencing what I'm starting to experience or been experiencing, it just stayed with me.
Yeah, and if for some reason it was maybe getting worse for her.
It was actually messing with her mental health to the point where...
Yeah, she was on the psychiatric floor for 26 times.
Oh, wow.
And put on all kinds of medicine from a psychiatrist, which we were, like I said, little kids. We didn't understand.
Yeah.
How did your mother finally pass away?
She died in 96 of brain cancer.
Okay.
She's on my table right now.
Wow.
I've had her ashes ever since.
I'm assuming it was
in
the urn or
it was
something.
it. Oh, wow.
Okay. But all this started before the 96.
Oh, yes.
I'm trying to think what it could actually be that was attached to her.
Well,
I mean, it sounds like the connection started with being attached to your mother, and then it just kind of disseminated down to the kids, like as they went their separate ways. I mean, because there's been stories where people have made deals supposedly with the devil, and it actually progressed past them and down their their bloodline to their kids and their grandkids. So there's no telling what it could be at that point. But that would terrify the hell out of me.
It did me. It really did.
I mean, that's the ultimate, control by fear when it comes to telling your kids, hey, listen.
Yeah.
We need to look into a podcast about West Virginia, because that's where I first saw my first paranormal entity. Something about the hills and backwoods of West Virginia has something to do with paranormal. I don't know if it's the ley lines. How's the ley lines lay in that area?
Well, I'm trying to think, because there's a big ley line that goes through DC, to DC. I think there's one that runs from DC to New York, just about. But West Virginia's also got a lot of Native American land as well. So, plus, you never know as far as the history of West Virginia, because there's a lot of early settlers, back then.
Right. Well, is there anything else that you'd like to tell us before we end this podcast?
I'm trying not to forget anything that happened, and I'll probably remember a bunch of stuff when y'all leave. So I'm a little nervous talking about it. I don't expect anyone to believe me until it happens to them, of course.
Right. Well, we found that there's going to be always those that roll their eyes, and there's always going to be those that are going to believe everything you say. But, it's very real to you.
Oh,
and what's
definitely
real to you is your reality.
I know it's real when other people witness it, not just me.
Right, I understand. and that's what we look at, too. That's some of the facts that we look at when we do an investigation is this a one-time, one-person type deal, or is this multiple people, multiple sightings, multiple, But we do have a minister that we can contact that we might talk about this in the future. And but the first thing we need to do is get our equipment in here and do a thorough investigation.
Yeah, definitely.
So we will be coming back in the near future and be doing an investigation for you, and we'll be updating this podcast as we go. So if you don't have anything else, Bruce.
Oh, the only thing I was going to say is I kind of believe her that I felt like something has been like right behind my back, like I felt almost like something had touched my shoulder a little while ago. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you saw me do my back like that. Yeah, I did. But it felt like something touched me between my shoulder blades while we were doing this. And there was a couple times even through the headphones where I thought I heard like something like breathe into my ear, like through the headphones. And
well, you know that when we do these podcasts, we'll go back and listen to them.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes we hear things on the podcast we didn't hear while we were actually doing the taping. So Bruce and I will also bring tape equipment in here to try to contact and make contact with the individual or the entity, and I'll go forward. Amanda, do you have anything else to add before I?
Your mother is here. I had to go outside for a second. It was really overwhelming. My entire back went cold, and when I turned around, I could see her sitting on the coffee table.
Oh, she's here with us.
She's
She's with
like
me.
hanging out. Yeah.
Actually, that's what I was just saying, like, to her, like, a minute ago before you stepped out.
Yeah.
Like, I felt like a cold blast come down my neck, and I felt something touch me between my shoulder blades, like, right behind me.
That was just crazy. But yeah, at least your mother, Heather's grandmother's here. Yeah.
And that's a good thing. That's not a bad thing.
I think it's definitely a good thing. Yeah.
So, if we don't have anything else,
Susie, it's really been a pleasure.
Thank you very much
to be
for-
here.
Thank
We
y'all for
appreciate
coming
it.
out. I
And
appreciate it too.
inviting us into your home and letting us go forward with this investigation. So,
All right.
thank you again.
You're very welcome.
And we'll be seeing you soon.
Definitely.
And
So until our next podcast,
We are out.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you want us to do an investigation, email us at mothmanpodcast@gmail.com. Have a good night, guys.
Good night.